Well, we all know the 20th anniversary of 9/11 is right around the corner, and we have the story of two men, one who worked in the North Tower of the World Trade Center and another nearby, and the beautiful friendship that developed out of an act of kindness on that fateful day. Take a look.
The morning of September 11th, beautiful day, got up out of the subway, headed up to the office. A little later on, we heard what was like a muffled explosion, and the next thing you know, getting thrown from my chair from the shockwave, shock, panic, ran for the stairwell.
I was working on Broad Street, just a quarter of a mile from the World Trade Center on the other side of Broadway. I rushed to the steps and ran down 15 flights of steps.
Got near the seaport and still in shock, completely out of breath, when this young guy comes over and he's like, "Are you okay?" There was just something about this guy that was like, hey, I feel comfortable, I feel safe.
My first visual of Ben was in his work clothes. I remember he was in penny loafers.
We got up to somewhere around 23rd Street and I'd stopped, and at this point, my knee's bleeding, my feet are bleeding.
And I said, I know this might sound weird because we don't know each other, but why don't you come up to my apartment? Let me give you a change of clothes.
He offered me a pair of sneakers, which are about a size and a half too big.
On the wall in my apartment were some college pictures that I had hung up from my lacrosse days at Princeton, and it turned out that he was also a college lacrosse player at Syracuse.
And I gave him the biggest hug in the world and started on my next part of my journey to get home.
A few years after the events of 9/11, I got involved in a youth lacrosse program in Manhattan. And as I walked onto the field, I recognized a man that I thought looked very familiar.
And I look up, I'm like, oh my God. And I'm speechless. He's like, 9/11? I'm like, no, I know. And from that day forward, we became best of friends.
What a story. Wow. And here they are, Ben Cavanaugh, Craig Katz. Fellas, thank you so much for being here. And look, what does this say about you all's bond? It's one thing that in all that chaos on 9/11, you found each other in that crowd, but you all didn't continue a friendship. You randomly found each other some 3 years later. Is that fate or what?
I definitely think there's a lot of fate to that. He was there. He basically was a comforting person, an angel, as I call him, the guardian angel. And I promised him, I said, I promise I'll give you these shoes back. I took his phone number and everything and lost the number along the way. But no, lacrosse brought us somehow back together. Wow. So
I mean, what a beautiful moment. Now, can you give us a sense of your friendship today? What is it like? What does it look like today, all these years later?
We have a unique bond. We don't see each other that often, but when we do, it's like we just saw each other the night before. We play golf together now. We played softball in the city for several years after we reconnected. And Ben's a unique guy, and I really cherish our friendship. It's how often do you get to meet someone later on in life that feels like you've known them for your whole life?
And you kept those, look, you went home, you made it home, you kept the shoes, but what did you do with them? They were too big, so you didn't necessarily wear them day in, day out. Did you just put them in the back of the closet? What was on your mind about
I basically put them, away, stored, because I was going to make good on my promise at one point, and time just kept going on and on and on. And I held on to them, and as I was going through some things, I'm like, okay, it's time to find them a new home. So I had reached out to the 9/11 Museum, said, would you be interested in these and the shoes? And they asked for pictures and a story behind it. Yeah. And it went through the process. I had asked Craig how he felt about it, and he's like, absolutely, and came back with an affirmation that they were going to accept them into their collection.
Wow.
Pretty remarkable, and it's pretty cool because the museum allowed us to have those sneakers here with us today, so we're going to bring them onto the set right now. And, these are now a permanent part of the memorial that we all go and look to and say, what was 9/11, the good and the bad? And there was a lot of good that came out of that horrific day, and these sneakers memorialize that, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm getting emotional looking at them. I think they're a symbol of hope, and they're a symbol of resilience. and I know how much the shoes meant to Ben, and I'm just excited that they're going to be in the museum. You know, the only time I got to see them was really on the posts on social media that Ben made every year on 9/11. Oh. And again, the fact that he kept them, it's just a symbol of our friendship and symbol of hope, and I can't wait to see them in the museum.
We always say never forget, but it's also important to never forget the beautiful acts of kindness and love that happened that day as well, and you all both obviously beautifully represent that. So thank you. Thank you for sharing the story. It needed to be heard by so many, and now we can all go visit your sneakers whenever we like. So thank you so much for being with us, both of you.
And love the way you put it. You didn't just need a pair of shoes, but they got you home. They got you home to your family. That was a beautiful way to put it. Thank you both. We want to thank also the National September 11th Memorial and Museum for letting us have these special shoes in studio here for a big reunion today.
Thank you both.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.